Good evening. Welcome to the very first episode of our podcast, Evening Tea and Inspiration. I am your host, Nikita Osborne, and I will be chatting with some interesting people over a couple of weeks. We will be discussing topics that affect our daily experiences while we share inspiration while sipping on some tea. I am a lover of tea, so don't you dare come to this podcast without your tea. While I'm on this topic, let me shout out my evening tea partner, my sister Natasha Austin, who indulges with me every evening. Okay guys, so to kick things off, I will be chatting with you on the topic of losing a loved one. As I share a bit of my experience during the loss of my mom, who passed away on August 23rd, and that makes it just about a month and something. With that said, I want to dedicate my first episode to my mother, Monica Osborne. She would have been celebrating her 75th birthday. She would have been celebrating her 75th birthday. Mommy was diagnosed with a brain tumor about in 2009, which makes it 13 years she has been ailing. As the tumor continued to grow and shift, it placed a tremendous amount of strain on her body. And though it was non-cancerous, it really did a number on her ability to function effectively, and she eventually became bedridden. This placed her in a position where, she lost her independence. And for those of you who knew my mother, she was a proud, independent woman who did everything with a touch of class. Yes, she did. Being placed in this position, she was now solely dependent on her children for every her daily needs. She depended on us for basically everything. As the year rolled on, the situation became more challenging for us in many ways than one. But we took on each day by the grace of God, and He increased our strength to do all that was required of us. So fast forward into 2022, we continued to care for Mom, but it was a dreadful situation, seeing her lying on her bed, unable to do anything for herself. But the one thing that never wavered was my mother's faith in God. She would often lay on that bed with her frail hands, She would lay there and we would see her hands lifted up to heaven, and that simple act of faith was enough to keep us going. There were days when we felt like God had ceased from talking. Yes. Those were days that, we felt like he wasn't showing us what his next move was. However, we knew that in his due time, he would reveal it. And don't be fooled though, because knowing that God has a season for revealing something doesn't necessarily mean it would be easy to accept his decision, not at all, especially if it's to finally take a loved one away from us. And I know this is a topic that is hard for some people, but it's something that we need to accept, embrace, and I'm sure many of you can relate. What I want to tell you, my dear listeners, is that keeping the memories of your loved ones alive is what will make losing them easy. This will sound cliche, yes I know it will, but trust me, it works. And I speak from experience, because there is not a day that goes by without us remembering and mentioning something about my mother. And in doing so, it does not make us sad. It brings that sense of nostalgia. So embrace it. Always laugh about it. When you remember those things about your loved one, just laugh about it. I cannot speak for all my siblings when I say this, but when my mother passed, I experienced an overwhelming peace, which, according to the Word of God, truly surpassed my natural understanding. And this to me was confirmation that God is sovereign. He knows all things. Because I like to think that I know myself to some extent. Not everybody can really understand themselves sometimes. I like to think that I can, and I can say for a fact that the old Nikita, who everyone treats like a baby, because I am the last of my mother's children, I know I would never have been able to handle losing my mom. So today, I pay tribute to my hero, who shielded me from this harsh world. I'm not quite sure if that was a good thing or a bad thing, but one thing is certain, she will always be remembered. She will always be the woman who is responsible for who I am today. As I wish you, my listeners, a pleasant evening, I want to remind you to be humble. And I must give you this joke. My niece Daniela gave me a podcast name when I told her about my new initiative. She called me the Podcast Princess. So this is me, Nikita Osborne, aka the Podcast Princess, saying, stay tuned for our next episode where I will be chatting with a guest who will really bring it next episode. Thank you for tuning in. Bye.